And welcome back to On the King's Dime. We are live. It is Monday night. The finals are here, and game one has come and gone, and we're here to do a little bit of a wrap on game one of the finals. As always, you can find us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. We're at On the King's Dime, so check us out. Everything's across the bottom there, and yeah, after that semi-final blitz to end the semi-finals, ripping out Melbourne's heart, we go and then we lose game one against Perth.
And we did lose game one. It was definitely ours for the taking. I think that there were so many opportunities for us to win that game, and we just didn't take them. And Perth didn't really deserve to win. I don't know. They kind of shot well, didn't defend all that great. The refereeing was a bit up and down either way. Oh man, some of the charge calls, that Xavier Cooks, he was. Just moving in front of someone does not constitute a charge. It's just abhorrent. But a couple of calls either way didn't really make a difference. But that was definitely our game to lose, and we lost it. So
yeah, a bit of a bummer to go down, especially in the first game. I think if we're going to have any chance in this series, we would have had to win games in Perth, obviously. But to lose the first game just changes the complexion of this series. But I don't doubt the character of this team. You know what I mean? Like I kind of, at the moment, I'm just like, man, that's a huge mountain to climb. Looking at this team, I'm not sure. But at the same time, like, you write them off at your own peril. I think they've got a little bit more sort of that gritty pedigree. And if the series devolves into that kind of gritty back and forth, I think, that's kind of where we thrive a little bit more than in the open court when we're having to make momentum.
Yeah, it's kind of when it just devolves into a scrap, then we seem to be able to pick individual big moments out of that. But, coming up against Bryce Cotton, who is, let's say, treated like his last name by the league, Cotton, wrapped in cotton.
Yeah.
Just can't touch him, can't get ball, can't go near him, he just gets calls. The master of getting calls. He's going to drop 30 points a night. Really, you have to go at, White and Steindl and Norton and just let them kind of dictate how Perth are going to play, because Cotton's just going to get his buckets. He didn't have a particularly good series against Cairns, but he seems to have come good against Sydney on Sunday.
Lot of volume though. I mean, 11 of 22. That's a lot of shots in the grand scheme of things.
That's their team. Their team is built around one guy. As soon as he leaves, that team goes from number one to bottom of the table. Like, it's just built around one guy getting buckets. And that was almost like Melbourne was with Casper Ware. Sydney's kind of, I think, evolved past that. Very much that team mentality. Everyone chips in, everyone gets buckets. Certainly Casper Ware doesn't provide buckets apparently in a game, because that was probably the worst shooting I've seen in an NBL match this season. Just poor shot selection and
just
bad
forcing it.
Forcing it instead of just trying to get to the hoop, or some of the dishes, some of the turnovers. He had a really, really bad game, probably the worst game of the season. By a country mile. Even if you're not shooting the ball well, he made some poor calls, a couple of lobs to nobody, some bad turnovers down the stretch, bad turnovers early in the first quarter. And it was just horrible. It was a sour night for him.
Yeah, it sucks because after that Melbourne series, we'll just talk briefly about that Melbourne series, but I was sort of looking at that and going, oh, it's Shea Ely's gooning him a little bit. And, that's something that, like, I've seen that in the NBA, like with Curry a few years ago, where they unleashed Delhi on him to just, hack at him. And, like, I felt like Casper, like, got over that hump, and it might spur him onto something a little bit stronger in this series. Cotton's not the greatest defender. But yeah, it just died. Like, that game we went and saw, I don't know about great in that series or great in that game. Like, it did it feel like he was back in that game, Melbourne game 3?
It felt like he caught a little bit of momentum down the stretch, hopefully to bring into this game, maybe shoot himself back into some form. But yeah, no, his game has devolved past shooting back into form. I think he's really got to make sure he's getting to the hoop, um, and going back to a little bit more of a pass first point guard, because it's not really, that's not his strength. His strength is typically always been a shooter. But there was some high down screens. He fought around some high down screens this game and couldn't deliver as well. So that was a bit of a worry when he's getting a couple of looks that he won, and then it devolved into early shot clock, just heaves from far too, way too far out, and it was pretty bad.
The issue, especially in this Perth game, like his shot creation isn't, it's not conducive to the offense that we run, the kind of three and inside offense. Like there's no rhythm to the way he's sort of making shots at the moment. And if he's tossing it to a guy like Bogut at the elbow, like he's a good enough creator so that then he works off ball. He comes in and out. Sometimes like he doesn't make enough of a cut. Like you watch Goulding in last series, like he'd cut baseline, he'd go out to the wing, baseline again, all the way back and around. Like he seems to make kind of one or two moves, and then if the play breaks down, he doesn't get the ball. He kind of just stands there and stagnant. And that's when he's getting the ball. And then with nothing left to do, he's got to just ISO with about 7 seconds to go and try and just put up a brick. And again, like I think what would benefit him is like running actual conventional pick and roll, like bringing your big up and running pick and roll with him.
Yep.
But he just all season, he hasn't just wanted to do that at all. Like we've barely seen any of that, like barely any chemistry with Bogut running, conventional pick and roll. Like we've got a group here, I think, that would happily just go, yeah, sure, we'll stand out on the wing. We'll, create space for you if you guys want to play a two-man. And I think we saw that at the start of the game with Bogut. Like I said to you, I think earlier on this season, like I don't think Plumlee can guard Bogut in the post.
No, not at all. And you were right, he couldn't. But in saying that, neither could Bogut guard Plumlee. It seems like they were both getting their kind of dues last night on Sunday night. Sorry, but yeah, I don't know where you go from here. We were just discussing before this Will Weaver's kind of motto of, all right, if you're 2 shots out, it's kind of it's a weird coaching style. It's worked regular season, but the playoffs are always different. They're always grittier. They've always got to fight round more. They're closer. Does it work? Are we going to get rhythm out of this team? The only player who seems to kind of ride is Casper, and that's maybe not the guy who shot 1 from 10 that you want to ride down the last 5 minutes of the game. Maybe you want to create some openings for Lish, who's hit shots, or Newley to get to the cup, or JT, and it just seems like just pass the ball to Casper. Pass the ball to Casper.
Well, it's not necessarily like pass the ball to Casper to create. Like it seems just in these broken moments he gets the ball. Like if we're dialing something up, if he's off ball, like he's usually cutting to try and get to the hoop, and that kind of worked a little bit in the Melbourne series. Didn't really work against Perth, and I think it kind of compounds the issue with Tate, where Tate's kind of the guy who operates inside in broken play. But when everything's all collapsed and shooters aren't shooting that well, like he didn't really get going at all. He had 5 of 11. He kind of struggled, played through a lot of contact in this game as well. Whereas in the Melbourne series, he was getting some calls and stuff like that. I don't think he went to the line at all. And for a guy like Tate, if he's not going to the line at all, you're kind of going, something's wrong there. Like guys foul him all the time. So
yeah, like the refereeing wasn't.
Yeah, we should just talk about the refereeing. Like
it wasn't great, but it wasn't abhorrent. It wasn't like it was a better level of terrible.
And I think the other thing too, like you and I can just talk about levels of refereeing in general. The other thing I wanted to say about this Melbourne game was just the reaction afterwards, like how much salt there was about the refereeing and how much everyone just went off their tree. I was like, man, calm down. Like, rewatch the game. I rewatched it twice, and I was like, the refereeing wasn't really that bad. There was 2 or 3 calls where down the stretch of the game, you go, okay, the Kevin Lish push off. And then, but there was a couple at the other end, like around that time, where you could tell the refs were just trying to not let it get out of hand. And usually we're pretty critical of the refs when, they're trying to manage a game. We're sort of saying, like, don't get in the way of what's happening in the game. But in that Melbourne game, I felt like Melbourne was just way too aggressive, fouling a lot. And in the first half, like pretty much all of their fouls were legitimate fouls. So they had legitimate foul trouble, and that sort of flows on into this series where the reaction from the outside in this game is always going to be, you can't whinge about the refs. Like, you got that last game. Like, the refs were like great in that last game for you. So, like, it's just it's a bizarre scenario when you watch this game. Like, I don't really like the protection that Cotton gets. Like, anytime anyone trails him, he seems to get a foul, and there's like sometimes there's no contact, sometimes like it's coming off a pick, and he also does that Trimble thing where he just dives into guys and then just tosses
Yeah.
the ball up and gets fouls. There was one or two where he didn't, so I was like, good. Like, I want to see like a tough series, and then Casper, instead of kind of like letting his man get onto his shoulder and going into him and finishing, he seems to get the guy in front of him and just like chop him with his shoulder and then finish. And that's less conducive to getting fouls. Like, you want to let the guy get onto your shoulder, but with a guy like Cotton, he's kind of just too slight. So he can lean all over guys and he's not going to get called. Like, you're not going to get called basically if he's leaning on you and you're sort of going to the cup, which is where I want to see him like hold the ball, draw Cotton onto him and create some plays. Like, we haven't seen really any of that all season where he's had the ball and you've just gone, look to pass first, look to move, look to get it back, look to pass again, and then maybe shoot. And I guess in some situations he did that. Like, we went to that Kevin Lish. He had 3 threes, I think, in the third quarter, and then I think he shot 3 free throws after that as well. And it was good to see us go. We went back to the hot hand. Like, we went to Lish in the corner, Lish out up top, and then he created one ISO bucket, and you kind of went, like, good, that's good rhythm offense. And then he sat down after that. And you just kind of went, oh, man, this rotations thing again. But I don't want to harp on about the rotations too much because it's a 5-game series too. Like, I was thinking about that all through that first game, just going, man, it's a marathon. It's just a real shame that we didn't, come back and nick that game. I think Perth as a team that kind of has that consistency, they're probably a better team than us, I think, as a collective. But I thought we defended quite well in this game, and it was only really Cotton on a high volume. Less stepping up too. The Bogut not stepping up, although he was really good on offense. Him not stepping up on pick and roll is a huge issue, and a huge like you're a 35-year-old veteran. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is rookie type stuff. Like, I'd expect this from Jordan Hunter. Like, sometimes Cotton would come off a screen. There isn't even a big in the they're all above the break. And he's like, I'm not stepping out. Like, and you're just letting him shoot a 11-foot floater or 11-foot jumper. Like, I don't know, man. So it's just crazy to see. This is rookie type stuff.
Yeah, but this has been the whole season. Nothing has changed. That may very well be a coaching decision to just let them take that shots. I kind of said that in the beginning, is that if any team was able to operate in the mid-range, they'd take City to the cleans, because that's not Will Weaver's strategy. His strategy is to protect the rim. He's very much a statistics-based coach. Protect the rim. It's the highest value for money. The lowest value for money is actually in the mid-range when you look at the statistics. And then, 3 points is obviously high volume, quick turnaround. You're going to get more shots and more percentage, so you're going to be able to produce more. But if any team was able to play in the mid-range, then that's where Tariq White and Cotton play very well in the mid-range. Even Nick Kay, it's just that's where the weakness is.
And so you're Nick Kay, like, being their second best player, I think Nick Kay is probably one of the better players in the league. And the Kay Tate matchup is a huge misnomer on how good Tate is. I think he's struggled a few times on Nick Kay for how Kay can score from 3 and in mid-range as well. And Tariq White wasn't really that good in this game. But anyway.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't, but you kind of has that wrinkle in the mid-range that they can certainly play. And, Clint Steidel put up a whole bunch of flaming garbage, which was nice to see, because he gets streaky hot against us. Damian Martin is essentially dead on offense, or he hit that timely three.
Yeah.
It's like,
I sat there and just went, yep. Oh, are you kidding me? Like, you shot like 19% all season. You hit that.
Yeah. But yeah, they really don't have a lot outside there. Their depth is lacking, and it's a 5-game series. They're going to be playing some strong back-to-backs.
And Nick Kay played 36 minutes in that game, and Cotton 35. Like, it's a lot. And Tariq White played 32 minutes as well. Like, it's a lot of minutes. They threw a huge punch to start the series, and we'll see how it goes down the stretch. But
they've got a long recovery now till the game on Friday night. It'd be interesting almost if they win that and then purposefully drop the game on Sunday to take it back home and win it there, to give themselves that physical break and to minimise risk of injury. If I was Trevor, a smart coach, I would do that.
Mm.
I would minimise risk of injury on Sunday and take it back home to win it after a good rest, because you're going to be playing some pretty heavy minutes.
Mm.
But that's the whole thing about Sydney's lineup, is it's a deep roster. They don't play heavy minutes, and they can play a 5-game series pretty well, but it is a fairly stretched out series in that respect. So it'll be interesting. We need to take this game. I don't think we can take it to game 5. I think this is the game we have to pinch back and do it that way.
Yeah, it was a real worry like that. Like losing that first game, I think kind of dents the way we play too. Like it dents the way we set up against the team. Like we want to sort of slow it down a little bit, grind the game out a little bit more. Use our power inside, and use our big guys to dig down and grind the game to a halt. But that's kind of where Cotton thrives. Like he gets in between, he shoots that mid range really well, kind of moves around. Nick Kay, I thought, played really well again. Like the Kay Tate thing, it's almost like when Kay's on the court, Tate tries to sort of get up in him, but then like he just finds ways to pop up in different spots, and you're just like, oh, Tate's not guarding him here, and then he just backs down and shoots a jumper, and you're just like, I think that they've done that well. They've really run guys off screens on offense, and again, like when we're defending, man, we just don't fight through those screens enough. And I think in a series like this, in that Melbourne series, we kind of, in that game 3, we really worked on fighting through those screens. But I think in this Perth series, we don't do enough of that. We try to go under on Cotton, and that's kind of torching us. And then we go over, and the big doesn't step up, and that torches us. Like I'd like to see, even if we give away a few fouls, just guys trucking screeners over, because Perth set some dodgy ones. I thought Melbourne's were pretty dodgy the other night, but Perth's pretty good at setting some dodgy ones too, and we're pretty good at doing it too. So I'd hope that we can get a bit more physical and work on that physicality aspect, because I don't know, we've thrown 3 or 4 different punches at Perth and haven't had that much success, other than Diddy's crazy hot night at home sort of halfway through the season where he shot lights out. But I don't see that as a strategy. Like I don't see that as we have to get hot and shoot threes and win a game. Like I just don't see that happening.
You've got to really shut Cotton down. If you can shut Cotton down, then the rest of the team will falter, because they don't have a lot of high volume scorers. And Tariq White hasn't actually had a great season if you look at his stats. So you will come out ahead if that is the case.
And I think we did well, actually. We did quite well. We're throwing Newley onto him. I think the Cook's wrinkle, playing sort of center power forward, really, really stifled him as well. Cooks had that great block on Bryce Cotton and grabbed 11 boards. And then, mixing through the rotations, I think Craig Moller didn't get any game time. Maybe we'll see him a little bit more down the stretch. I don't know if he's completely fit. Would have Deshaun Taylor made a difference? I don't know. Maybe not. Like, I don't know how good his defense was. I still feel like as a defender, he is a plus defender, but Cotton's kind of just that good. So if he gets away from me, you just go like, oh, well, Taylor's not that good. Shawnee Bruce gave us some offensive punch off the bench. He had 4 of 8 at 11 points, shot 3 of 6 from 3. The 3 ball sort of came back for a little bit, and then he kind of missed that one down the stretch, which was a big one. I think it would have either tied the game or I think we would have put us up 1.
Yep, 1 ahead.
And then that was one where JT was wide open under the basket, and he could have just laid that in, but he tossed it out to Bruce, and he bricked that one. The kick at Bruce combo off the bench, I think, kind of got torched by Cotton again. We brought that off the bench for some punch, and then basically Kick It has to sit because he gets caught in no man's land, kind of the defender trailing Cotton. Cotton sort of either goes by him to the basket or, shoots a floater or shoots a pull-up jumper. And then Didi Lozada, how'd you feel he played?
Missed some open threes that he should have knocked down. I think defensively he played pretty well. Scored the ball okay. Just needs to get hot, man. Needs to provide something. Run the point a little bit more efficiently.
Defensively, I thought he was pretty good though.
Yeah, defensively. He's got to they've got to call for the ball more than Casper can. They have to really just put him in his place, let him get better shots. And if he isn't able to get a better shot, call for the ball and get something that's better. But look, it's good to see Lish back to some sort of resemblance of himself. That's going to be important down the stretch because he's a fantastic defender and can create his own shot, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, 17 points, 5 of from 8 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3. It's still, it felt good, but then all that work was undone in the L. You know what I mean? Like, you're like,
Yeah.
like Kevin Lish is back. How good's this? And then we just get the L anyway, and just like, oh, what a waste type of thing. Bogut, his offensive, like, I still want to see him get the ball and try and score. Like, if he's going to go out in a flaming wreck, basically, we need to toss in the ball, and he needs to kind of dominate Plumlee. Did Majok come off the bench? He had 2 minutes. Didn't really do much defensively. Hit it too. Like, I think Bogut's kind of that guy that you can go to get scoring, even if it's not, that kind of scoring that is that in rhythm type stuff. It was just that out of, some out of context scoring, I think, that threw Perth to start that game, which was good to see, but down the stretch of the game, it just disappeared. Like, we didn't see any of it. So,
No.
And then anyone else, Brad Newley was pretty poor defensively, kind of gets blown by Cotton. He's just probably a little bit too slow guarding Cotton. And then Norton, he's kind of struggles a little bit. I thought he was quite good on White, but he's just a little bit, and Diddy, I think, is just also just a little bit too like big and long. Cotton's just a bit too small and quick. And Cotton just sort of diving into him. Like, I think he had one charge where he went through, went to Euro, and the guy was like backing back and just kind of threw himself backwards onto the floor, and then they just called it. They're like, yep, that's an offensive foul. And I'm just kind of going like, what? Makes absolutely no sense.
Ooh, exactly.
I'd like to see a game where you let the guys play, like, and again, I could just go back to that Melbourne game and just go, yeah, we've got a lot of calls, so what can you do really? So, but yeah, I don't think there's much else we can kind of say. We can look forward to the series. What are you looking for in game 2? I really hope we bounce back.
I'm looking for potentially to play a small ball lineup against Perth. Really come out with Cooks at the 5, so he's able to be a bit more flexible. And if you need a shooter out there, potentially play Kickett at the 4, who can match up quite well with K. I think Kickett can match up. They're quite slow. They're not really quick. And then you're playing JT at that small forward spot, which would suit him a lot better in his ability to get the basket and ISO. But yeah, Kickett at power forward and Cooks in a 5 small ball lineup. Just for some extra shooting, because you just see Xavier Cooks doesn't want to shoot it. That saying, Bogut on Plumlee, maybe just getting in his grill a little bit more and being a little bit more aggressive.
I think if we can run, like, sort of like move them around more, like running that conventional pick and roll, but you look at Bogut, man, he just can barely move. And then it's a struggle. It really is a struggle to kind of create that motion. Like, if you look at Cooks, like, he sets good screens, and he's quite good as a roll guy when we short the pick and roll and kind of give, that foul line offload. But they were really good at sort of getting down in the lane and sort of stopping that. I'd like to see him go up high to Cooks and to Bogut, but they didn't really, Casper had one where he just threw it basically straight out. And, it's a worry sort of, at the end of a season, basically, when you can't execute a pretty, standard pick and roll lob or like bounce pass.
That's Casper. It's Casper. That is the bad game he had.
So what else do you reckon we could do to get Tate going? Make shots?
Not so much make shots. Start sending some pin down so he can come on the weak side and he's already under the net. Because as soon as he gets within 5 feet, he can finish. But he's getting the ball too far out, and we're not setting effective screens inside the paint. And if you can set a pin down just outside the key, he's going to get shots all the time. He finishes at such a high clip around the rim. But backing down Nick Kay from 20 feet is not an effective way to score.
No.
Especially if you've got defenders that can come across and know that his eyes are only for the basket. So setting down some pin downs inside the key is going to be crucial to getting him going more effectively.
Yeah, and if you look at steals, Nick Kay had 2 steals, Norton 1, and then Damian Martin 3. Like, Damian Martin's basically coming over into the lane to help on JT pretty much every time. I said it in the Melbourne series, like, why are Melbourne basically still letting him operate 1-on-1 against Barlow? Like, he was getting like loose on Smith Milner. He just didn't get loose at all. Like, there was Wagstaff to throw at him. Nick Kay digging down with Norton and White, and it was a struggle. I think if we can knock down some shots and spread the floor a little bit more, we might get him some better buckets. But again, we've got to knock down those shots. And when Casper, we shot 11 of 32 on the night, only 34%. I say only 34%, but it's still a decent sort of effort. But none of those were really, kind of dial up threes that made the offense in rhythm sort of run ragged. Brad Newley had none of two, and then if you take Casper's 10 out of there, that 3-point shooting looks way better.
Yep. Casper we're shooting 10 bricks.
Yeah, none of 10, and some of them are just like, Casper, like, stop it, mate. What are you doing? But I guess shoot, and I guess he's going to keep shooting, and hopefully he can shoot his way out of this slump in game 2. Crucial game. I think we have to win this game if we're going to have a hope in the series. I don't feel like going down 0-2. At home we might win one, but then Perth closes it out. I just think, this team has resilience, but there's a I think there's the ceiling to it.
Yes, there is. Very much so.
Especially against a team like Perth. As always, you can find us on YouTube and on Facebook. We are live on Facebook at the moment, but we will be putting the video up on YouTube after this. I did want to do a video on the fouling in the Melbourne game, but I just didn't get time to do it because the salt, man. Let's quickly just talk about the amount of salt was ridiculous. coaches in the back room, basically physios were coming out, journalists, people on Twitter. It's just like, calm down, man. Like, it's the NBL. Relax.
It is the NBL. Look, down the stretch there's some bad calls, but Melbourne set themselves up for foul trouble way early on in that game. We were there. It was pretty obvious the first quarter. They were just out there trying to goon everyone and trying to get away with it, and the refs weren't having it. So, I mean, we gave Melbourne every opportunity to lose that game. We shot so poorly from the foul line that we gave them the opportunity to play back into a game that they shouldn't have. Shooting 60-odd% from the foul line is not going to win you games, and yet it did. So that takes away from actual shots. But yeah, it was just bad defense from Melbourne and too much gooning.
And then coming into this series, I think it's a tighter series. We're not going to get that kind of sort of home cooking or away cooking that I think, I don't know, we're looking more to use our physicality in a series like this. And then, it's hard to run into this team. And then the physicality aspect's just gone, Not foul. No, you can't get aggressive here. So, yeah, that's a bit of a shame. Casper had 5 fouls on him, but only shot 4 free throws. So that says a little bit about the situation. All right, I think we can wrap it there. We'll be back next Monday after the doubleheader. Could be all over. That could be the worst case scenario. Hopefully, we can win that game on Friday and bounce back in the series, and then reset it, and then go best of 3.
Yes, that's what.
Yeah.
Bring it home for the finish.
Anything else? As always, you can find us on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll see you guys next time
on the King's Dime.
Take it easy, everyone.
See ya.